Okay, Bertie, it is episode number 128.
Which adds up to 11.
You're right, it does.
Yes.
Whoa.
Maths. Stats. Oh my God.
Oh, it all ties in. Amazing. So this week we have part 2 of the wonderful PJ and Stats. I was going for PJ and Duncan there.
Oh, yeah.
PJ and the Statsmachine man telling us all about his life and stats.
Yes.
He told us with a presentation, but you won't be able to see any of it.
No.
Because it's a podcast.
He was a great PowerPoint he showed us.
It was amazing. He didn't even talk once for an hour. Just pictures.
Hopefully you listened to part 1, which was out last week, which was 127.
Yeah, so you know exactly what's going to happen today.
Yes, last week was more kind of his origin story. This week he goes into the difference in the sports and how you can go across from football to soccer to hockey to basketball and things like that. And
I'm looking forward to listening to this one now, to be honest.
Yes.
Does he do stats on every sport? Would he do ice skating?
I presume he can.
That'd be cool.
But he's specific GA, but stats is broad. It's all about how you use it, isn't it?
Stats are, well, that's what she said.
That's it.
Right, Bertie, we have a name for this already in our heads. So I'm just going to tee you up, okay? This week, it is episode number 128, and it is...
Das Statsmachine.
Ja, das ist gut.
German. And so throughout doing your degree in Trinity, you would have been doing this on the sideline.
Yeah, would have been involved in Trinity Gal on the side. Yes, involved in Trinity Gal, would have done this on the side. Would have helped. Would have helped with my home club for a couple of years. Obviously with Kevin. Did a bit after Kevin moved on. Did a little bit with my home club, and also kind of had the opportunity. Got noticed by a couple of other coaches. Kevin, it's the same as anything, getting your network. I remember my work got picked up by Loud Ladies. Daughter Mercy, late Michal McKeown was in charge at the time, got involved with him, and then obviously when Michal passed, Darren Bishop took on that role, got involved with Darren, have done work with Darren for a couple of years, and just like that, you kind of, people know coaches that you've worked with, you get a call, you get a text, lads, I've got a gig where I went to school with someone and just happened, and my club's looking for somebody. Can you give us a hand? Stuff like that. So it's handy enough.
And do you ever get a feeling that people, because I've had this now on my side of things, that they kind of play down your role?
Oh, completely. But
kind of not underappreciate, well, probably underappreciate you as well, but think that it's a kind of a sideline, a cheap thing, that they have to do in a tick a box, but they don't really buy into it.
Oh, you'll always have teams like that, and you have to kind of just bring them along one by one, be it a management team or a player one by one, and at the end of the day, look, there's some people out there that just don't believe in that end of the sport. You have traditionalists that don't think you need to do that. Traditionalists that believe the Mick O'Dwyer concept of running up the hills is always going to make you fitter.
Because I have it's only the gym. Yeah. And they don't realise, and it's probably the same with the work you do. Actually, I'm sure it's probably actually more so with the work you do, that they think, it's just a gym and you're just there for the hour, and they forget that, you have to set up programs, you have to monitor the players, monitor the workload. You're in constant communication with players. Well, I am throughout the week with injuries, and if they're playing some could be minor games, as college games, adjusting that. It's not just turning up on this. So you'd be the same. They think maybe that you just come record the game, you throw it into
an AI.
Yeah, and bang, all the stats come out.
I wish.
And the price obviously reflects that, because probably at the start you were probably maybe cheaper, but as your technology got better and you're doing more work, you obviously have to up your price and the cost. But sometimes I think people don't appreciate what time it takes for these things.
Yeah, I think, and not to criticize products, but I think you see a lot of clubs now with Veils, and Veils are quite a useful camera, but I had someone send me a video, and there was one goal in the game, and the Veo missed the goal, where I couldn't follow. And look, the Veo is a great place to start, but the Veo is an example of people it works if people use it. It's the same as any tool. I think the Veo is also a little bit of you see people that maybe, we don't need a cameraman. And you're kind of like...
Well, with that, I find it very hard when people send me the video on that, because I can't put it into my software for cutting the clips.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a downloadable file.
I have one team. I have one club that has a Veo, and I've no issue with it. Everybody has their own reasons for getting it, and they kind of turn around to me and said, look, we know it's missed stuff, and everybody's kind of very, look, it's a growing software. I think it's on Veo 3 is coming out now, so hopefully it'll be slightly more depth at the pitch, but it's like that. It can be quite challenging. You have to create a login to be able to download and put it into your own piece, and so stuff like that just adds an extra step. And sometimes like it's nice to be able to stand over your own work as well a little bit. Like, look, I'll have clubs that'll send me videos. I'll have clubs that will ask me to come video. I'll have teams that will want me just to only video, and that's fine. And I would always say I prefer the analysis end of it. I'm okay at the video. I'm better at the analysis piece, so I'm quite happy for people to send me videos, but also at the same time there's a nice little bit to be able to stand over your own stuff and say, no, I've done this from start to finish. Like, you kind of own it end to end.
Well, I think with the Veo, the main thing I like, one of the few things maybe, is that you're able to pan around. So it's not just so when your team's in attack, you can like pan around to see what way your defense is set up.
Yeah, you could put a camera behind the goals.
Well, I suppose you could do that. I just thought that's a nice feature.
It is a huge advantage.
But it's so annoying when you get it and you want to put it in to cut the clips.
Yeah.
And you can't, because as I said before, you're really only showing, even if it's 3 minutes of different clips just to talk through or to analyse or to, maybe even something that you've worked in training and you want to show this has now transferred from the training and into our game. And I just find it so hard when you get the video.
It's great. It's the same, but it's the same as anything. It's the same as somebody bringing a performance analyst in. It's a tool, and it's only good if you're actively and proactively using it. Like one of the best video clips I ever saw shared at one of the community practices, the GA run every year down in Carlow. Oh, God forbid me, I can't remember which county it was that shared. I can't remember if it was Cork or Limerick hurlers. But they had a drill. They had this kind of, if I remember right, it's like a 7-on-7 box drill kind of thing. And they used the drone to record it. And just watched it for like a little 10-minute game. And then in a couple of weeks, put the drone up, play the same drill, and kind of see, all right, are we improving in how we're moving the ball? Or the sliotar, are we improving in how we're keeping possession and stuff like that? And are we making better runs and stuff like that? So it's like absolutely everything. Like you can buy all the gadgets and gizmos in the world. From the gym, you could have the most creme de la creme, full of gym equipment, perfect, absolutely every machine under the sun you could dream of. But if you're not trying, or if you're not doing anything along progressive overload, you're not testing yourself, it's not worth anything. It's not worth near as much as a bench and a squat rack that you can do half the exercises in.
Yeah, like that's the right point. Like so I'm a firm believer in, like, if you want something, you go to find the person who has skilled at doing it. Right. And like that, I found great value in when we worked together about the way, and I said to you before, about the way the sheets came and all the stats were laid out. And I loved reading through them and like either justifying things we were doing or pointing out things weren't working what we were doing, or even just have evidence that when you said something you had evidence to back it up in your stats. But people are like that, kind of undercut the industry maybe and all the cheap side things, but there's taking stats and there's implementing them, but then there's someone that's an expert to tell you on how to use them.
Expert's a stretch.
which is important, I think, as well.
Look, I think and it's another great advertisement for the GAA accreditation, and I promise I'm not plugging the GAA here. But this is coming from someone that's done soccer. I was involved with the League of Ireland for a year. But the GAA accreditation is that kind of seal of approval, that stamp that he or she knows what they're talking about. They've made the conscious effort to go and actually do the course. Like you can, and obviously there's people here that are streets ahead of me that have gone and done the MSc in performance analytics in Carlow. I think there's a similar course up in either Queens or Jordanstown. I can't remember which it is. And you go and study actively performance analysis, and they've released like the amount of actual scholarly papers on GAA is incredible in that sense.
So for that pathway, say right. So you done your degree in Trinity, and that got you what kind of job?
So I started off, went into classic grad job consulting, lasted about 18 months in that. Just felt wasn't exact. It was close to what I was looking for, but wasn't exactly what I was looking for. Left to be a business analyst in a financial services organization, IFDS, half owned by State Street. Found it quite enjoyable. Worked with a nice team. Became a specialist in a very specific product. Working on all projects and change. So anything related to that product, we would take in the requirements, assess the requirements, submit it to the vendor, work on the projects, and kind of essentially deliver those changes. And then from that, kind of spent just shy of 4 years there, and then about a year ago left for a similar role in Aer Lingus, so working as a business analyst in change and transformation team now.
So you say analysis, is that like stats in that business, or is it kind of different?
There is stats, but it's also analysis of processes. It's kind of the big thing on my job. So how is something done? And I think that's the piece I feed back to the sports. It's not about the numbers, it's how we did it. It's again, I remember it. I think Ray Boyne said it years ago. Like it's not about the win or loss, it's about the performance, and it's how it was done. Did we do it the right way? And that's kind of what my job was reflection. Like we can do this in one of a million ways. Are we doing it the right way? Are we doing it the best way? Are we doing it the most efficient, effective way? And I suppose that's kind of where my job best translates to stats.
So you started and you said you had a knack for maths, and you're doing the kind of the stats for games. You went then, and what was your degree you did in Trinity?
Business and politics.
And that led into the few jobs you had and the analysis and stuff. If someone wanted to get into performance analysis, are these kind of the attributes you need?
No.
Is it, can you go, you said there was something in Carlo, so you were talking about the GA development, so you went to do that like as a separate part-time course?
Yeah, all you need to do is get involved. All of you want, same as anything GA, if you put your hand up, you'll get given a job in any club. Trust me on that. If you felt analysis is something you want to get involved in, all you have to do is look into Twitter. You'll find hundreds of accounts of all different guys and girls that are doing analysis. You reach out to any of them, try and figure out which one's nearest you. If you want to go, I've had one or two people where they've kind of come to me and said, "Look, PJ, we know you've done analysis, and we're looking to get that off the ground. The club, we're not necessarily looking to get you in. We're looking to have a conversation about how we get it up and running." Yeah. And no problem at all. It suits me. The more people that do it, the better, because the more people that are doing it, the more people we can learn from each other, and really, it steps up our game as a community in terms of the GA course. So there's 2 or 3 ways now. I have to try and remember this. So there's every year there's these kind of regional workshops. That's the requirement, and then you attend the workshop. And believe it or not, I'll throw in a nugget here. No, this is good. You'll get a good chuckle out of this. I went to my workshop in January 2019 in Portlaoise, being Leinster Council. Yeah. And on the way home from Portlaoise, I pulled off in Blanchardstown for my first date with my now fiance. That's the course holds a special place in my heart.
There you go. Yep.
And so you do the course, and then like that you can apply. You kind of
Now, is this a course that anybody can play for, or did you need it?
It's sign up. I think it was virtual during COVID. I'm not quite sure what the setup is now. They're ran by the provincial councils. They're outstanding information gatherings.
And is this 1 weekend a month kind of thing?
It's a 1 day.
One day.
It was when I did it. I'll have to double check it again, but it's a 1 day.
And then that can lead on then to see,
exactly.
Do you actually like it? Because I suppose there's a difference between being at a game and saying, ticking off turnovers, and then if you actually maybe go do that course, you realise, maybe that's not for me.
Exactly. So you do that 1 day, and that gets you started. And then there's 4 levels, and when you apply for a level, they kind of give you the criteria, and you have to assess what level you're at and apply for it. Sometimes they'll call you down. Sometimes they might maybe nudge you up. The kind of the reserved areas, level 4, that's graded separately, independent of the GAA. I think they have an external examiner from Sport Ireland and potentially it's now SETU, isn't it? It's not Carlow IT, it's SETU. Southeastern University and Technological University.
They're just getting fancy.
Yeah.
Remember when it was like AIT?
Yeah, it was so simple. You knew where you were going.
Carlow Institute of Technology, all these simple places.
But you do those.
Now you've North Atlantic and you're going.
You've done TKIT holding out strong. But no, the key, so you do that 1 day course and then you can apply for the courses. You can apply for level 1, level 2. If I'm right in saying for level 3 and level 4 you have to have an additional course. Either that way, there's a course that Performer run in collaboration with Jordanstown that I did, even before I did the GA one, because I wanted to know how to use Performer better, so I just happened to have that course. But the Masters in Carlow is taken as one course. There's all these different courses, or experience or qualifications. So if you have qualifications from another sport that you can pull in, these are all things that are taken into consideration.
And there's probably more courses because it's more popular now as well.
Absolutely. It's
like when I done my strength and conditioning, Setanta was doing it, and Setanta was the only place in Ireland that you could do it, and it was part time. But now they even have full time courses, and I think there's S&C now and other colleges and things like that.
I think Rob Carroll, who used to do it a lot for the GAA, he had his website on. Remember the Video Analyst? Yeah. I think that got bought by he sold his web. Did he sell his website? Or does he kind of took a step back from it? I think because he was great at advertising performance analysis jobs in different sports, even across the UK. So that's kind of now taken over, I think, by a UK crowd. But stuff like that, like he had a load of training courses.
Just when you say that to go across, like if you do your degree in performance analysis, that's analysis for all sports.
Absolutely. Yeah, so like I go back to that course in Carlow. You'll have people in GAA, you'll have people from hockey, you'll have people from soccer, you'll have people from basketball, you'll have all different sports. That was actually one of the best. Again, going back, the GAA do a yearly community practice event down in Setu in Carlow. And this year was really unique because they have different speakers. Every year they do panel discussions. Usually they have some of the analysts from the All Ireland winning teams and come down and speak. They'll have some other guests, but this year was really interesting because they're all of the keynote speakers were not GA. So you had a gentleman that was involved. I've forgotten Ger Dunn from the FAI, who's the sole video performance analyst for the FAI for the men's soccer team. And he talked about as well being roped into the ladies and going to the World Cup and actually seeing, like, when you think the GAA is really on the cusp of things, and it is for an amateur organisation, then you saw the setup that he was given in Australia for the Women's World Cup and you're like, wow. There's a chap that was involved in the IRFU and kind of how they manage the player pathways and use video analysis and performance analysis, tracking guys in academies all the way up to the Ireland 20s and then straight to the senior team. And then there was Alan Swanton, who is Sports Ireland. If I remember right, he was I can't remember his sports. Was he boxing? He used to be involved in boxing. I think cycling as well as his other sport. He's swimming, volleyball, somewhere in that region, but definitely Olympic sports. And just hearing their perspectives and their approaches, and you're like, wow. Like I do say, like, if anybody is interested, pick up, I can't remember the title, Benjamin Almer is the author. His book, it's something I'll Google it, and I'll Google it, make sure before we go off. Or I'll Google it now here.
You can Google it now. I can do a bit of filler, because one of the things that I was going to ask you as well is like stats is kind of onto itself, that it's kind of like go across all sports. So if you have just, like, say you've played GA and you have to play the sport, that doesn't confine you to being like a GA analysis. Like,
so Sports Analytics, a guide for coaches, managers and other decision makers, Benjamin C. Almer. There's actually a new version. I think there's a new edition of it being published this year. That was the book. It's not even 200 pages. For context, Ben Almer was the general manager of the Oklahoma City Thunder that was involved in drafting Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook and James Harden. So he knew what he was doing. Arguably the godfather of sports analytics, an absolute genius, and it is so transferable to any sport. It will be a reference book you will always have on your bookshelf. I don't know how many times I've picked it up and opened it. It's probably one of the only books I've ever read. It's it's exactly what you need to get yourself started. It's really interesting and just really gets you into that mindset of how to approach.
And then there's obviously your performance statistics analysis.
Yeah.
So then you'd have, just when you mentioned American sports, what the movie Moneyball and with the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
But that is a different kind of analysis. Because that's not really performance. That's kind of...
Well, it is and it isn't. It's performance in their sport.
Yeah. Because they were looking at, wasn't it, stats of bringing in players rather than what they were doing when they were there, was it?
Yeah, but it was also it wasn't it the whole concept was get on base as the movie goes.
Yeah.
But it was to kind of get players that within a budget that you could average out as a whole organization, and I think that goes in a sense. It was a sense of performance analysis in the sense, yes, it was used to improve the players, but for them it was about assembling a team of specific traits with players with a history of doing certain activities or performing at a certain level. For one reason or another, were disregarded by major clubs, Major League Baseball or franchises or whatever they're called over there, and it takes that together. I think it's the same. Basketball is quite good. Now, as you say, there's an argument for basketball is quite difficult because there's only 5 guys in a court at any one time, and stats can really mislead. Like a guy can blow a team out of the water, but and it's the same as any sport, I suppose. You can be statistically an anomaly, but you could do nothing, and really add nothing. Like it's like what value did you add if you kicked 1-7 and you were bet by 15 points?
Yeah, that's true. And then you have the area of, so what's GPS stats?
Yes, that's not my area. That's more sports science.
So that will cross over.
That will cross over.
Even though like it is like stats from it, but that is in order for the sports science kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I would never hold my hands up and say I'm.
So if you have performance sports, which is like
video and performance analysis, and then your GPS fest, you're talking about your player tech, your catapult, your stat sports, obviously, be the major players in that area. You see a lot of I've seen a lot of players start to buy their own vests.
Yeah. Well, I bought my own.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to have it
out of curiosity. But it's funny because it's excellent information, but I find in a sense it's like a Whoop or a Fitbit. Like you get it. It's what you do with that information. It's all like
one of the things that
what to do, and that's why I say sports scientists. So that's kind of as much as the amount of times that I've kind of said, "Do you want to do this?" I'm kind of like.
Yeah, so if you went, you wouldn't be involved in like taking the data from that.
I'd happily help, but my kind of thing is not like. Knowing where your knowledge ends is important, and knowing
and being
able to admit
like that happens to me a lot. People ask me for like nutrition plans and like food plans and all that. I says, well, I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist. That's a whole separate 4 years in college.
Exactly.
You know, and I think people then that say, oh, I know a bit of that and I'll do that. It's like, someone's gone to college for 4 years to be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of and like I think that's where I think I've actually definitely helped myself in terms of how clients look at me, because I'll be very frank and very honest. I'm not interested in upselling or adding on stuff that I can't do. Yeah. There's no point, and there's no point in half hours.
Well, the main thing, as you said about using the GPS, what I found was, your distance covered. I take that as kind of, I covered a bit of distance, but what did I do with that distance? And then one of the things that it helped me with was me top speed. So I was down like just breaking 7 meters per second. But then I took that and I went and incorporated like speed drills and speed sessions into my training in my week. And in the last game then I hit 8.12 meters per second. So that's something similar to what you're talking about stats. It's how you use it.
It's exactly how you use it. Like I had one guy, you've one manager that might just look at, say, distance covered. And then you have the argument saying that, okay, I'm a corner forward, I've covered half the distance of the team, but I've scored half your scores because I'm near the goal. Do I really need to be tracking back and doing all of the work that maybe a midfielder needs to do? You need to be careful what like saying we all need to run 10k is unrealistic. Yeah. Because all of a sudden, what are you going to do with your goalkeeper analysis? What are you going to do? Do you really want your cornerback covering that much ground? If your cornerback is covered 10k, I'd argue, where are they going?
Yeah, where are they going?
Respectfully. And that's just, and I know that's just an arbitrary number. I could be miles off with that 10k number, but it's like that thing. Everything is relative, and it's position relative. And I know we're getting more and more into a positionless game, but there is a sense that some people are designated for certain roles. I've always found really interesting was the high intensity distance. That was kind of where you kind of say, okay, who, for want of a better word, who's really busting their gut, who's actually pushing themselves and breaking through. And I think that's what they kind of look for, is kind of when I sense, I don't know, but you hear this thing of kind of when people are in the red zone and they're getting pulled off by inter-county teams, is it that they've burnt out all of their high level running? I'm not quite sure. I'm sure there's some very impressive sports science metric that takes that into account that I will never wrap my head around. But
just to, before because we have to play the Waffle Game, is next. Just to kind of sell yourself in the next minute. So as I said, I mentioned like the sheets that you gave us. I've seen you produce before. If you want to run through what can be on that, so if someone sends you a game, what are like on that sheet? If you want
I would
to
argue whatever they need. Like that sheet, that sheet was built for the Offaly team. Yeah. It was built for. I built different stats reports for different teams. I've made it my life's work to try and not include tackle count, because I argue, well, is a tackle relevant if it didn't turn the ball over?
Yeah, because that's true. Yeah,
well, it's a lot of. I joke because it's probably the single hardest thing to tag.
Yeah.
From my perspective from football, I'm sure there's guys out there that think it's a piece of cake and hate other things that they tag. But really and truly, I have a base template? Yes, and then we work with what are we working on as a unit? What are we working on as a team? I'm working from there, and it's all kind of specific to that theme. It can be changed. Similarly, the clips. Do you want clips of specific KPIs? You want only a handful of coach curated clips, or do you want me to pick out a couple of examples of when we did something like this? All of it really is malleable. It's what I think as a performance analyst, we have to be the same as a physio, we have to be the same as a S&C, we have to be psychologists, nutritionists. We have to be malleable to what the team needs of us. And there's no point in saying, there's the blank report, there's your stats for the game, and handing it over, because that's not fair.
And that probably is what makes you such a good statsman, is that you aren't just sending a template like what some strength and conditioning coaches do also, is just a blanket template, whether you're good at that or not, here is what you have to do.
I think my big thing though, the big thing that I added a couple of months ago, or not months ago, years ago, is the last page of my report is definitions, because some people might think something else is different. Yeah. That's my big thing, and it explains anything that I think is semi-misinterpreted. I think everybody knows what a shot is. Yeah. That's fair. But when you're starting it into a KPI like productivity, and people are like, that needs a definition. People need to know what they're exactly looking at in that sense. And that's what I think, that, strangely enough, that boilerplate, the one boilerplate slide that I have in my reports is probably one of the most effective, because it'll explain everything that needs to be.
So if someone is looking for a statsman, you are available on... No, you probably have enough work now. We'll get loads of work. On Instagram.
Instagram at stats_machine, on X at the same, and at statsmachine.ie. Contact me through the website, no problem at all.
We will put up videos and clips at some point, and we will tag you in it when we release this episode. But yeah, that was a good chat. I enjoyed that, because as I said, I enjoy talking to you in general anyway, but I do enjoy talking about stats and football and things like that. Actually, one other thing is, you said you were with a League of Ireland team.
Yes.
And is that vastly different from...
So different, so completely different, because the League of Ireland resources are so completely different. Like we have I'm not exactly sure what the way it was now, and I'm sure there's analysts that do it themselves. It was during COVID. The FAI put automatic cameras into grounds, so we were dealing with brand new automated cameras. I was filming some games and doing some breakdown. There's I think there was a Y-Scout software, if I remember right, that the League of Ireland had a contract for at the time, so that did a lot of the analysis for us, or a lot of the tagging, and we were just doing the analysis for the team. So yeah, it was very different, very interesting.
And do you think that there's more specific things in the analysis in soccer, like that things are more black and white, or is it kind of the same?
think it's very much the same in the sense that, look, you there's obviously KPIs and metrics, and they're different. But from a coaching perspective, you're looking for key patterns of play. You're looking for how your team is approaching the game, how they're dealing with specific situations.
Now, are you prepared for the Waffle Game?
Absolutely not.
Because I don't have
the whole point of waffling, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't bother taking out my laptop, so I had to rewrite the answers to the Waffle Game. That's just what I was doing there. So, do you know what the Waffle Game is?
Vaguely.
Okay, so you have 30 seconds.
Okay.
And I have 5 key answers on this page to a subject.
Okay. You have the answers.
Yeah. So your 5 answers has to be the same as my 5 answers.
Oh God.
And you have 30 seconds in which to do it. So you ready?
What's the subject?
You'll find out just
During
before the clock.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, PJ. In the next 30 seconds.
Hold on. Am I writing these down, or do I just call
No,
them out and
no.
pick them
Just
up?
you.
Okay.
You can just word vomit.
Okay.
And if I see one that I have here, I'll just take it off. So you say as much as you can, because people are looking for me sometimes the specific answer. And I says no. You just keep saying names or whatever is the answers, and we'll see at the end. I should have played more into your wheelhouse, but this is the best we can do. Oh. Okay, so in the next 30 seconds, PJ, can you name 5 90s Meath footballers?
Oh Jesus! Graham Geraghty, Colin O'Rourke, Darren Fay played in the 90s. If I go back far enough, Brendan Murphy in goal. Oh God, you put me under pressure. Trevor Giles. No, Kevin Riley didn't play that far back. Now I'm thinking of Meath club managers at this stage. Oh Christ!
Go on, keep going. More names.
Oh, Sean Kelly, midfield for a while. Jesus. Oh my God!
5 seconds.
You put me on there.
Go on, shout out a couple more, quick.
Oh, gone. I've completely panicked.
Nah, that's your time. As does most people.
Had you went 2000s, I feel like I would have had a better chance. Okay.
Yeah, I thought actually 90s might be easier because I thought everybody might know. Yeah. And then I was going to do Loud, and I was like, I'd have to look them up. I don't know loud 90s footballers. So the 3 that you did say.
Okay, I got 3.
Okay, so you got 3. Colin O'Rourke, Graham Geraghty, Darren Fay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I had a bit of a curveball with PJ Gaelic.
Oh.
I was like, I have to put in a harder one. And then I thought you might get Ollie Murphy.
Probably should have.
There you go. He scored a bit against Louth. Now we have come to the end of the episode. So, as I said, it was a great chat. You got 3. You held your own on the Waffle Game. Fair play.
On top, no table, but it'll be a start.
Yeah, I was probably meant to put in the Waffle jingle, but we'll leave that to Scotty.
Okay.
And thanks for coming in. And once again, if you are looking for a Statsman, because as I said, you do like different packages, let's say. So you can go record games, do the stats. People can send you videos. You probably like that better. That's probably an easier route for you.
Look, everything and anything, any way I can help.
Yeah. So you can get onto them. As I said, we will tag you in your social medias or whatever on the bottom, and you'll be able to find that out. And we usually finish with shell bombs, but I have no shell bomb because we were well over time because that
we
conversation.
Just didn't stop talking.
Yeah, we just kept going, as is the nature of the podcast, which is Waffle. So PJ, thanks for coming in, and I really enjoyed that chat.
The Jamie Waffle